Assalamu alaikum, I'm Javed Khan, your host, and this is Suno FM network, the largest FM network of Pakistan and Radio Pakistan's medium wave network. We have with us today in our studio two very distinguished guests, and let me introduce them. His Excellency Neil Hawkins, the Australian High Commissioner to Pakistan, and Professor Wendy Umberger, CEO, Australian Centre for International Agricultural Research. Thank you so much for joining us in our studio for this brief conversation, which is going to focus on the bilateral cooperation between your organization and Pakistan. And since agriculture is the of foremost importance for Pakistan, it has been the backbone of Pakistan's economy as well, and the country is still trying to reinvigorate and give a fresh impetus to the agri sector. So your visit is kind of extremely important for Pakistan. So let me first come to Professor Wendy, come to you first of all. I think you need to introduce your organization as well. And secondly, please share your experience of the cooperation and collaboration between Pakistan and your organization, because we are marking the 4 decades of cooperation and collaboration between ACIAR and the Pakistan government. Yeah. So what are the landmark projects which your organization or under your supervision, your stewardship, it has been carried in Pakistan, so that our listeners should know that what Australian government has done for Pakistan's agriculture?
Yeah, it's really wonderful. 40 years of partnership. And I think that word partnership is really important because our two governments, Australia and Pakistan, have worked very closely together to address issues in the agriculture sector, which is so important to both of our countries.
Absolutely.
So here in Pakistan, over 40 years, there's been many achievements. I think 120 million households, mostly agricultural households, but also the communities have been helped through research, agriculture research that then leads to on-farm improvements, and not just on-farm, but improvements in that whole food system. So communities and then the value chain. And we also do an incredible amount of capacity development. So working with the key research institutions, ranging from government institutions in agriculture and water, and sitting down and talking and saying, okay, where does Pakistan, where would they like to learn from Australia's, what we call the agricultural innovation system, which is our universities, our government research agencies, and we share knowledge so that, that builds the capacity of Pakistani people. But honestly, we actually learn from that too, because we're dealing with similar issues with water historically, salinity, yield issues, pest issues.
Which is an issue in Australia as well.
Absolutely. So it's really quite interesting how many agriculture and food system issues we share across our countries, quite similar countries, particularly in those dry areas that, are dependent upon either irrigation or really good varieties of crops. So the key achievements, I think, that we've shared, one that, I've been here now visiting for a few days, and one that we hear over and over and over again is the importance of the partnership between Australia and Pakistan in mango research and mango value chain development. So people have shared with us, farmers, researchers, even the private sector has shared with us that Australia's helped Pakistan be able to improve the quality of its mangoes and the new varieties as well, that has allowed Pakistan to get into export markets, and Pakistan mangoes to be famous in other parts of the world. I think additionally, we're really proud of the water work that we've done together in terms of water allocation and water allocation systems working with the government.
Professor Wendy, ACIAR mainly relies on research as well.
Yeah.
Would it be correct to say that? And how the input was provided to Pakistan as far as research and agriculture is concerned? And how beneficial it has been for the organizations like Pakistan Agricultural Research Institute and at the community level as well? Because research is as you pointed out, for example, the mangoes, new varieties and maybe more sweeter mangoes, because Pakistan's reliance is quite heavy on the export of mangoes when the season comes.
Yeah.
And they are in really good demand as well. I mean, wherever we can take them to.
Yep. So the Pakistan government, again, I say we work in partnership. So we sit down and we say, okay, where can we work together? And the partners will say, actually, you know, we know that Australia has expertise to help us on, you know, address a pest issue. It's not just pest, but a quality issue. It might be post-harvest. It might be an on-farm issue. It might be just helping learn how to sort or understand about different markets. All of those things we've worked on together in mangoes, for example. And so we'll say, okay, we have these expertise and we knowledge share. So it's about building the capacity here of the research institutions, so the people working in those research institutions, so they learn, they might come and visit Australia, Australian scientists come here and see firsthand the problems and then try to help, you know, help teach maybe how we can address that so that people here can then do it. It's also not just about the researchers or the institutions, it's also about improving the capacity of the farmers and sometimes it's the extension people as well. And one thing that more recently, we've been really focusing on helping improve the capacity of women farmers as well.
Okay, wonderful.
And we've heard that women farmers actually are much better at helping address quality issues. They're more careful,
and
they
Professor
pick up
Wendy,
on
since,
things.
These 60% of Pakistan's population lives in the rural parts of the country, where women are the linchpin as far as supporting the family as well. They go out and work in the field. So have you been able to reach out to those communities as well?
Absolutely. And that's something that I think I'm personally most proud of is the work that we've been doing with women through Pakistani research institutes. But, you know, Pakistani women training, Pakistani women living on these farms in the rural communities on new methods, all kinds of different things, even making things like jam and value-added products out of mangoes, not just mangoes, all sorts of horticultural products. And that's quite exciting because it gives that they want to learn more and more and get more involved. And it benefits the whole family. Improved nutrition. We've done work on home gardens, kitchen gardens as well. And we've gotten to hear stories when we were down in the communities in seeing about how those kitchen gardens are really helping introduce new food that's nutritious, such as new vegetables, into the family household. And they're selling some of it as well.
It not only sustains the family, maybe in some cases they can take it to the market as well, sell and improve the income as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're hearing is sometimes they're selling to neighbors, sometimes they're taking it to other markets, creating new markets. And so it's giving new cash to the household and a new sense of confidence for the women that they'll invest back into things like education and other types of food products to improve the nutrition, which leads to long-term outcomes.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Your Excellency, I would like you to sort of give the detail of overall state of cooperation between Australia and Pakistan, because since you are the representative of the Australian government, Professor Wendy can talk about the agriculture sector, but I would like you to sort of give the details of overall state of cooperation between Pakistan and Australia.
Sure, thank you, and assalamu alaikum to all your listeners. Your listeners probably don't know that our cooperation started with camels. And in the 1860s, from Baluchistan, Australia took camels and cameleers from Baluchistan to Australia to help us build our infrastructure and to take our goods between cities across the desert. So the Baluch came and they brought with them camels and they brought with them Islam. And now we have about 1 million wild camels in the center of Australia. And this is actually a bit of a problem, but the Islam, of course, has also stayed and spread. So that link between us and that partnership has started many, many years ago, even before Pakistan. And nowadays we've got that connections across agriculture. We have 100,000 Australian Pakistanis. We have 18,000 students who are studying
Very
in
strong
Australia.
Yes,
we have scholarships both through ACIAR and through our government, our foreign ministry, for students, Pakistani students to study in Australia. So there is, of course, a lot of trade, and there's some investment. We have some Australian mining companies working in Reko as well, which is quite interesting because in 1860 we had the Baluch come to Australia to help with our infrastructure, and in 2024 we have Australian miners come to Baluchistan to help with the mining infrastructure. So it's a nice symmetry there. But it's we are, of course, have a lot of familiarity with cricket and with hockey.
Of course.
So there is many familiarities.
That's a common bond. Yes.
And Australians love Pakistani food too.
High Commissioner, I mean, in this very room, I conducted a series of interviews of the Australian High Commissioners, starting from Peter Hayward to Margaret Adamson.
Okay.
I mean, that's why I know a lot about what is going on. And Margaret Adamson was so vibrant and so dynamic that she used to come, and even the student scholarships, etc. And we did a lot of live programs as well. So I can understand that the growing partnership between Australia and Pakistan is really getting stronger and stronger. So apart from cricket, which is of course the common obsession, so what are the areas you believe that in the coming days, months and years, Pakistan and Australia, for example, once I went with President Musharraf to Australia and New Zealand, and we were exploring the cooperation in the dairy sector. Unfortunately, probably the private sector couldn't take it forward. So dairy is one area which is extremely important for Pakistan, because Pakistan is the 6th largest milk producer. But what we lack is the value addition.
Sure.
So in your view, can we still explore this possibility of value addition?
It's interesting you mentioned dairy sector, because that's actually a growing area of cooperation. This year, in the next few months, we're importing another 1,500 cattle into Punjab or into Pakistan. So the Pakistan dairy industry is very much based around Australian cattle. Why? Because if you bring a cow from Europe, it might give a lot of milk in Europe, but when it comes to Pakistan it's not used to the heat.
Right.
Whereas in Australia, we've developed these cattle so that they can give milk in hot climates. And so when I was in Gilgit-Baltistan, even there they're saying they buy Australian cows, and there are large dairy farms now in Punjab and growing in Sindh. So that's, as you said, another area of growing cooperation between Australia and Pakistan. We also export chickpeas. And if you, any of your listeners had Chennai Chat for breakfast, the chances are that those chickpeas were from Australia. And if you're using canola oil to cook, 90% of canola oil is also from Australia. So that is a big area of cooperation as well.
Your Excellency, you talked about the Pakistani diaspora, and you talked about a very large number of Pakistani students over there. And your government is also offering scholarships in certain areas. Yes. Are you expanding that program? Any possibility of more areas to be covered into the scholarship scheme to attract more Pakistani students into Australia?
Well, fortunately, Australia is a very popular destination for Pakistani students. A number of reasons. We have very high quality education. We have good weather. They can play cricket or hockey, but also they feel safe. And if you are a Pakistani, whatever your listeners are wearing, if they're in Punjab or Sindh or wherever, if you take you now and put you into Australia, in Melbourne or Sydney, you will look Australian.
Absolutely.
Because we are very multicultural. And so if you're a Muslim, or you can find prayers and if universities as well. So I think that open culture and society attracts Muslim Pakistanis as well. We do have a number of opportunities for scholarships, as you said, and also ACIAR has some specially targeted scholarships at women and men who are wanting to study in agriculture and water management as well.
Okay.
So
those who are interested can access the website, and
we advertise them at website and through universities. For the next year or two, we're reducing the numbers of international students from all countries, not just from Pakistan, because there is a problem with housing. So there is not enough houses for Australians to rent. And so for the temporary, there'll be some reduction, but we still welcome Pakistani students. They do very well and they excel there. And inshallah, they come back and help Pakistan develop.
Absolutely. Professor Wendy, since we were talking about the cooperation in the agriculture sector, as you know that Pakistan's economy's backbone has always been agriculture. Since whenever we started shifting our focus towards other areas, we have been suffering from the food insecurity, and even we started importing wheat, the staple diet for the Pakistani people. Now the government has set up an organization known as Green Pakistan Initiative, given this very experience that every year we have to import hundreds of millions of dollars of wheat into Pakistan to meet the shortages. So they have set up an organization, Green Pakistan Initiative. How important it would be for your organization to collaborate with an organization set up in Pakistan, which is a one-window operation, and then they are also trying to attract for direct foreign investment into agri sector. They are acquiring lands from, as far as the unutilized barren lands are concerned. This is an extremely important initiative for Pakistan. You see any?
I might jump in on that one.
Sure.
Of course, we are keen to support agriculture and increase the productivity here in Pakistan, because it's about improving the livelihoods and nutrition status of the poorest in the farmers. In Australia, we have very large farms, and it's clear that in the future, large farms are required in order to have economies of scale and to be competitive. The smaller family farms make it more difficult. So, of course, any opportunities there are here to increase the sizes of farms could have some benefits, but it's also important to focus on the small small rural landholders, because in the end of the day, it's about increasing their livelihood status and improving their nutrition. So we will continue to work with universities and with researchers and with poor farmers and villagers. Of course, there are some large projects which are probably private sector driven, and that may be important, but I think for in Australia's focus has been on researchers and the poor farmers and villagers.
Professor Wendy, your take on it?
So I think, we're always interested in working on issues that are shared between our two countries, such as climate resilience and increasing productivity. So if it's addressing, as the High Commissioner said, if it's addressing helping smallholders and addressing climate resilience and, issues that are of importance to the smallholder sector, then we're very keen to work together. But it has to, really stay within the mandate of the agency that I lead, which is more smallholder focused.
Finally, High Commissioner and Professor Wendy, last question, putting both of you. How you enjoyed Pakistan's hospitality, Pakistan's culture, Pakistan's food, and Pakistan's historical background, given of course, the High Commissioner is in Pakistan, but since you are visiting, so the views from you, both of you, your experiences, starting from Professor Wendy.
It's been an amazing experience. So, throughout my career, I've interacted with many people from Pakistan doing my university degrees, because of course they were in agriculture and there were Pakistani students. So it's been to come here has been something I've wanted to do, my entire career. So getting to come here and actually see firsthand, and over the past week, I've gotten to see former students that I've taught in Australia. Actually, one from the United States when I taught there, and that's been just amazing to see the success that they're having. It's amazing because very smart. People, both women and men, and innovative and hardworking, and that's been amazing. And of course, I think all Australians love Pakistani food. The food's amazing. I particularly like the chicken. I think it's chicken boti, and that was amazing. And the little round dessert balls that are brown. Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
So it's been absolutely. I hope to come back, and absolute honor to get to come.
High Commissioner Hawkins, you are here, I believe, since 2022.
That's right. And a couple of things. Firstly, the warm welcome wherever we go is really very, very heartening. And I think it points both to the very open nature of Pakistanis, but also the close bonds between our two countries. Secondly, the geographic, the difference between, you have desert and you have the north, which is amazing. Gilgit-Baltistan is some of the. I've worked in tourism, and I think it's probably one of the best tourist sites. And Lahore, of course. Third is that sports. I think it's really good to We're working on this to promote more girls into cricket, and we're working on that. And my personal passion is to get hockey again on the main, so get Pakistan's name back in the hockey world. So by Pakistan investing in the hockey, because it's the national sport and they used to do very well, and we hope to work with Pakistan to do that. And lastly, I think the other thing is that the variety of different cultures and ethnics and religions here is very striking and is so important to the strength of Pakistan. And that tolerance is very important. Having a democratic country is really important, and it makes it a strong country if there's if there's democracy and if there's tolerance and that social cohesion between the amazing variety of ethnic diversity here. Is just really very unique, and I think Pakistan is really unique. And if that can be channeled into, it's such a positive and has such a strength for the future of Pakistan.
And we have got about 65 to 70% young population.
It's a very
an
useful,
enormous amount of benefit for Pakistan if you can tap their potential. About 70% population is a young population, less than 30 years of age.
Yeah, I read that statistic, but something that I've been really impressed by, again, we've been looking mostly at agriculture, but whether it be in the farming sector, so, smallholder farms, or at the university, we've been at the research institutes and universities, we are meeting these very impressive young women researchers and farmers. And to me, Pakistan has so much potential here to innovate in agriculture and make agriculture even a bigger sector, a more profitable sector. I really believe that. And I think women can really help, and the youth, as you said. So young women and young people together, there's so much opportunity in agriculture, particularly, when I started in agriculture as a career, it wasn't all the innovation happening, the artificial intelligence, the data learning, the drones, all the apps and the technology coming into agriculture. And it's so, walking through the universities over the last couple of days, and you walk through the campuses and you see it's equal, male and female students, all young, all excited and passionate about agriculture. That gives me so much hope.
Absolutely.
I would just, in that the young population, of course, is a real source of strength. But by 2047, in just 23 years' time, Pakistan's population is likely to double, and the amount of water is likely to halve.
Absolutely.
This is a huge challenge. So population can be a strength, but unless it's slowed, it will be a real problem. It can become
weakness as well.
And the scarcity of water will be a huge challenge for Pakistan. So that's something that Australia and Pakistan faces, the climate change. And this is why these projects that ACIAR do are so relevant, both in Australia and Pakistan, because it's helping us better manage our water and get more productivity from our seeds and plants and cultivation, because these are going to be really stressed and challenged in the next few years. We have to work together on this. The government has to give priority to climate change. It has to give priority, and people's actions have to change. They have to start preserving water.
Pakistan.
Everyone has a role to play.
And actually there was a statistic we heard today that by 2050, if the government of Pakistan just does status quo in terms of investment in climate, resilient agriculture, or helping innovation. It's not just climate, but innovations in agriculture to increase productivity, increase resilience, mitigation, that if they just do status quo, that the yields of staple crops such as wheat. But also rice. And that they will reduce by 50%. And that's the risk averse estimates. So that's the low end of estimates. So it's saying if status quo, we don't invest more in this country in R&D into agriculture to be climate resilient, 50%, you'll lose 50% of your wheat crop. That's going to create a food security issue if we do nothing. So we need to really pull young people and show them the innovation that can happen in agriculture, but also increase investment and really find a way. R&D in agriculture needs to increase across the world. But particularly in a country like Pakistan, where it's being impacted so much by climate, but also has so much potential to really be a bigger global exporter if they can, do work on policies, make the right R&D investments. And it's such an exciting place that if you can keep drawing young people in, young, smart people that know how to adopt technologies and learn. That's really wonderful.
And Australia is ready to be a partner with Pakistan on this.
And I think the role of your organization becomes extremely important for us in these circumstances.
Absolutely.
Where Pakistan is already facing the water shortages and the issues of salinity and low production, low yield. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And,
thank you.
Your Excellency, if you want to add something,
No, I just, as I said, I think it's important for the climate change. It's not just a problem in the future, it is a problem and challenge now. It's not possible for one country to solve this problem. We have to work together as a partner. The government in all our countries need to prioritize it and to work together. So we look forward to working with our Pakistani brothers and sisters on this.
Thank you so much for taking time out from your busy schedule, and you made it to our studio. I'm extremely grateful. Thank you so much, Professor Wendy.
Absolute pleasure.